Now, do you like just to sit back sometimes and just scroll through pictures? To sit back and begin to reminisce? Sometimes it makes us very nostalgic. We get kind of warm and fuzzy and just kind of happy and giddy as we go back over the pictures and look over them and remember the people, remember the events, the times that we've had. Pictures are powerful tools that can stir up memories. How many pictures do you have on your phone? How many pictures do you have stored in your computer? Used to, we have disposable cameras that we had to take and get developed. Or even before that, you had the camera with the film and you had to take it in and get it developed. So pictures, we'd have some, but nothing like we do now. I love how we have smartphones now. We can just take pictures and log all different types of events, people, places. Memories, essentially, is what it is. And I'm sure you probably have hundreds, maybe even thousands of pictures on your phone and on your computer. As we flip that over to our physical bodies, our eyes are the camera, and our mind or brain is the hard drive in which the camera places the pictures or the images on. You see, as we see things in life, they're imprinted on our brain. Now, there's some things we enjoy seeing. There's some scenery we enjoy taking in. There's some people we enjoy seeing. There's some things we wish we had never saw, whether we did a mistake back in our past and we wish we could unsee it, or maybe you see something in real life, you're like, man, I wish I could unsee that person doing that right now. That's a memory I don't want to have to hold on the rest of my life. But what we see is our eyes allow things to come in, and what comes in, those pictures, those images, powerfully imprints on our mind, our memories, and can be there forever. You see, our eyes are one of the main gates, really, one of the most powerful gates of allowing stuff into our life. Now, Tuesday's episode, we talked about monitoring and measuring what comes out of our mouth, what we say, how we say it, and we can guard our heart that way. Today, we're going to look at monitoring really what comes in as a way to guard our heart. Remember, Solomon challenges us in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, he said, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So guard your heart, protect it, put it in custody, 24/7. Why? Because everything's going to flow out of what is going on in your heart. Then he gives us 3 practical ways we can do this. The first one was to put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Then the second one we're going to look at today is this: let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. And so the main truth that is being taught here that I see is this: keep your eyes focused straight ahead. He used the word straight there, and he used the word right on, which carry the idea of this, being focused. You see, a focused person knows where they're going and is not easily distracted. Now, have you ever been to the fair or a flea market, a mall, or some big tourist area? I can think trying to walk through a fair, even though I've been there many times as a young kid, there's new stuff, there's lights, there's attractions. And so many times I'm looking left, right, looking all around me. And so my travel forward is actually a lot slower. Flea market does the same thing. I'm trying to see what's at each booth versus if I know where I'm going in a store, then I'll walk directly there. Very focused. I get there quickly. There's nothing to distract me. But as I began to look around at the different sights and hear different sounds and so forth, this slows me down as I go through life. And this, we can compare that to us with our eyes. As Solomon is saying, look, I want you to look straight forward, to stay focused, to keep your eyes in one direction so that you don't get distracted. Because the real thing is this: there are lots of distractions in life, and probably more in 2021 than there was in 2000 or 1980 or whatever the case is. Why? Because we're bombarded with visuals. We have screens. I have numerous screens open every single day of my life. Images, pictures, graphics, advertisements, all are screaming for our attention, content. And so it's never been more important for you and I to focus our eyes and our attention straight ahead. And all of this graphics and ads and screens and content, they all have a message. Some of them may seem neutral, but they're all propaganda in some form or another because they all have a message, they all have an agenda, they all have an influence they want to guide us to. So what you and I are allowing in is going to affect our heart. And what affects our heart is ultimately going to affect what comes out in our daily life. And so one of Satan's main tactics is to use the eyes. He tells us in 1 John 2:15, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world." So he speaks of three different tactics. There are three main elements that Satan uses: the lust of the flesh, and then he talks about this, the lust of the eyes. That word lust there means to desire, to crave. It could be illustrated like this. An Eskimo will try to kill a wolf. And he will do this. He will take blood and he will freeze it on a knife. And he will take more blood and he will freeze that blood. And he'll do this 5, 6, 7 times until he has this almost like a popsicle, if you will, on the knife blade. It's frozen. He'll stick that down in the snow. Now this wolf will come along, sniffing, smelling, and he comes up to that blood thinking he's found some type of food to eat. And so he begins to lick. And as he begins to lick, he licks one layer. He gets the blood. He tastes a little bit of it. Well, he wants more. So he licks again further and the next layer and the next layer until finally his tongue is hitting that sharp razor sharp blade of the knife. And now it's not only the blood he's tasting, his tongue is being cut and his own blood is being spilled, and he's tasting his own blood, but he doesn't know because he wants more and more and more until he kills himself. That's how an Eskimo kills a wolf. Why? Because that wolf lusted or had such a strong desire after the blood or after that fulfilling the flesh, the appetite, that he didn't even realize when it was his own blood. And lust does that. And the lust of the eyes, you begin to see a little bit and you want more and you want more until it becomes a destructive issue or destructive habit. You see, Satan's tactic was this that caused Eve to eat the fruit. She looked on it, the Bible says, and as she looked on it and saw that it was a tree to make one wise, so right there, he utilized the lust of the eyes. And when he did that, Eve fell and so did Adam. And so the longer we look, many times the more the desire grows. The longer and harder we look, the harder it is to turn away. So the question is, what are you looking at? Or better yet, what are you or what am I staring at? Meaning, what are we spending a lot of time watching? What are we allowing in to our eye gate? Is it wholesome? Is it healthy? Is it uplifting? Is it encouraging? Is it hypocritical? Is it evil? Is it images and stuff that we should not look at? Is it kind of borderline? And maybe there's a little bit of good, but a little bit of bad. How are we being influenced by that? So how can you and I monitor what is coming in? Because that's the emphasis that Solomon is saying. Look, he says, look, I want you to keep straight and focus, look ahead. And if you'll do that, you'll be able to avoid the distractions, you'll be able to avoid the lust of the eyes, and you'll be able to walk forward, to grow, to keep your heart. And he says we need to monitor what's coming in. How can we do that? Well, we need to keep our eyes, or keep your eyes focused on Jesus Christ. You see, as we focus on him, we will realize what should and should not be coming in. You see, we can take in all the sights. I mean, God created beauty, art, all of that for us to take in, but Satan likes to twist it, and there's a lot of evil things on TV, in our world, in our community, and images that come across our devices that we do not need to take in. We need to be able to discern what is good and wholesome and what is not, and what is borderline and what might lead to more of that desire. And so Jesus Christ, as we keep our eyes focused on him, as we follow him step after step, the idea of being a follower of him, he will give us the strength to stop looking or the strength not to look in another direction. So guarding your eyes is so important that anyone desiring to take their next step must do this. And you and I must do it on a daily basis. What are some ways that you and I can protect our eyes or monitor what's coming in? Well, number one is this: just put protections in place. You know where you may have some issues, where you may wander left or right or towards this. And so you got to put protections in place, whatever those protections may be. If you have issues viewing stuff on your device, you need to set parameters. If you've had an issue with pornography in the past, or you have an issue now, you need to set safeguards so that you don't have to stumble into that. You need to remove it. Whatever it is, you need to know, secondly, your weaknesses and avoid those areas, those type of places, or those type of magazines, or those type of sites, or that type of TV show, or whatever it is, the news. You know, it doesn't have to be some graphic picture, but if we're being influenced by a certain certain way by news or media and is trying to drive an agenda through our eyes and through our mind, we need to be aware of that and avoid that. We need to take, thirdly, the initiative to remove those visuals. And you know what you need to do. And then fourthly, put your guards back up. Maybe you allowed some guards to come down, but put those guards back up. Stop allowing the world to draw your attention away. Solomon tells us here to let thine eyes look right on, straight before you, and let thine eyelids look straight before you. Keep your eyes focused, keep your attention on Jesus Christ. Philippians 4:8 tells us very powerfully where we're to park our mind and where we should keep our mind. And ultimately, it's the same place we should keep our eyes. He says this, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. So what should we have our eyes on? It should be this, whatever is true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good report. And so bottom line is this, we must guard our eyes because whatever we allow in is going to come out.